Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea and sit back while we chat about what is happening up in the stars above for the weekend. Here we are, another Friday. Friday. And it also happens to be the first day of August, August 2025. It seems like this year has been flying by, and we are already in the eighth month of the year. Crazy, crazy. And August delivers this powerful energy of it's kind of a blend of this momentum that's building and emotional recalibration kind of left over from the July transits. And with this long term kite configuration that actually comes into being today and through the 15th of this month. And that's activated by the planet Mars, which will be in Libra. And it's infused then with Venus's journey through Cancer, meeting up with Jupiter at one point, and then on into Leo. This month really carries the sense of collective turning points. And it isn't just any normal kind of turning point, really. It's one that demands that we live from integrity and that we open our hearts and become more emotionally intimate, and then that we connect with an inner truth. Right. So it's a big month. So throughout the month of August, we'll be invited to listen deeply, and that'll happen when the sun moves through the gate 13. And we're meant to do that, listening deeply before we take on a leadership role, because we need to be able to lead with clarity. We need to ground our revolutionary insights. This is always fascinating to me because one of the gates in human design is called the gate of revolution, and it is triggered because of the Earth's presence at the gate 19, and then later as well on its own being triggered. And then my favorite gate of all the gates in the human design template is the gate 55, where we have this emotional faith that we are supported, faith in the abundant nature of the universe, that we are meant to be abundant. And then this will be a month to initiate bold beginnings, as Jupiter will come to the gate 53, which in human design is the gate of starting things. And doing that by honoring as well our natural limits, where Pluto 2 days later will move into the gate 60, the gate of limits, or the gate of conservation, as it is in quantum human design. So we're balancing passion and peace, commitment and rest, as well as the sun will make it through the gate 29, the gate of commitment, the gate of saying yes, and will also move through the gate then of restoration, gate 40, the gate of rest, right? Restoring ourselves. So the astrological human design journey of the month of August is really very interesting. Venus she will connect with every outer planet during the month, testing and uplifting love, right? Testing us for that, testing our creativity and our value, our self worth. And Jupiter and Pluto both shifting gates. Jupiter moving forward into a gate, but Pluto actually retrograding backward into a gate that he has held the position of for, holy moly, the last year and a half, perhaps. And this is really about us opening up new corridors for growth and for transformation in our lives, right? This final opportunity, not final, really, this next level opportunity for us to transform. And then Mercury will station direct. He stations direct in the gate 31, the gate of the leader and leadership, initiating kind of waves of authentic voice and visionary ideas and leadership ideas, qualities that maybe we're not seeing in our leaders, that are sorely missing in our leaders right now, and our more loud collective call for that level of leadership. And then, of course, that ongoing kite formation begins to really get us in the soul, right? It's our soul aligned compass for this particular time period. And it's asking us not just where are we going, but why are we going there in that direction. So the month of August isn't really about racing forward. It doesn't hold that kind of energy, not like some of the months previous, June even and May, right? They were like, let's push forward. It's about really choosing, taking the time to choose a path forward that matches your truth, right? That matches your integrity and that is aligning with your values, right? And what you value. And action here without alignment burns us out. We'll learn that through the month as well. But the sacred momentum that's building is born from clarity, knowing your purpose, knowing what direction to move in, knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want. It is born from courage, the courage to take action, the boldness that we might need to draw on from within, and the care and the nurturing, right? That's being balanced with, the bold and the dramatic, being balanced with the more caring and nurturing energy of Venus and Jupiter, both in the sign of Cancer, right? So, that's how real change takes root, right? When we really care enough to step forward, but we step forward with our vision, we step forward with our integrity, and courage, of course, goes right along with that. So that gives you a quick little rundown of the month of August. If you missed Wednesday's broadcast with Tam, we broke down everything important to know about the month of August, and especially the kite formation that is so powerful as a sort of imprint of all of the energies for the month. All right, let's say good morning to people that are popping in here. I first saw Julie this morning. Good morning to you, Julie. I hope you're doing well and recovering. Terry, good morning to you. And Kiki, gracious greetings, she says. Terry says, yay, it's Friday. J-Lo, happy Friday to you. Kamal, happy Friday to you as well. And happy birthday to you as well. And Joan Durchie, good morning to you. Lo says she is so ready. 49.6 is her SQ. I shifted into my PC. PC. Okay, my brain is dead. What is PC? 49, such an interesting gate in human design, right? Revolution built into everyone's human design. And there's there's almost this deep-seated point in every one of us that wants to evolve through revolution, right? And it sits on the emotional center. So it has a lot to do with how we feel, right? What gets triggered within us. And then rather, revolutions sometimes are started just by an emotional reaction to something. But the 49 really asks us to take our time and to really focus on what it is that we want to, what are we evolving? Evolving is within the word revolve or, revolution, right? So it's one of those things that we have to kind of consider. Good morning, Christine, and good morning, Teddy, and good morning to, oh, she's saying happy blessed birthday, Julia's to Kamal, and so is Christine. So I'm thankful that you are all here with me this morning as we break down this very beginning of the month of August. So we're going to do this through the human design template of the gates that we're talking about, which are yesterday the sun moved into the gate 33 and the earth moved into the gate 19. These are two oddball gates in the midst of Leo energy. So I want to break that down a little bit. Then we're going to take that into the gene keys, right? We're going to deepen the connection that we have with that and look, into the shadow, the gift, and the city. What is the takeaway message of that human design week? And then we'll also take a look at the two top transits for this particular weekend. One is Venus square Saturn, and of course, Neptune as well. So, and that's all that is really happening for this first weekend in August. We start, like I said, kind of quietly into the month. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't anything going on, right? Because there is, but some of it is turned internal and has, got us focusing more on our inner world. Remember, last week, no, maybe Monday, maybe it was last Friday. Gosh, I lose track of time. We were talking about Mercury in retrograde conjunct the sun, and how that brought us to the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde cycle. So now we're on the downswing of that cycle, coming closer to the end point of that retrograde. So it does bring us a lot of reflective energy, right? Reflecting on the things that have been disquieting for us over the previous few weeks, from the Mercury shadow before the retrograde into the day the retrograde until the halfway point. What were the things, that were up in our faces? And then this last half is really about how do we settle into that? And how do we make the changes perhaps that we need to make? What did we notice? What we were learning during that period of time? So August really isn't a month that like shines this super bright spotlight on, new directions, but it's subtle, and it's subtle but insistent. There we go. Subtle but insistent. So we have some work to do, right? And when we start with the human design week and we look at the sun in the gate 33, I want to share my screen here for a minute so you all can see where that is. And is it that one? Yeah. Here we go. So let me make sure you guys are seeing this all right. Yeah, I'm going to raise it just a little bit. All right. So what you can see here is that the throat center is being highlighted at the gate 33. And the gate 33 moving down toward the identity center. So moving down toward where the seat of the soul is, right? So it's an important gate. And it's a Leo gate. But it is a gate that really takes us into sort of this secret energy, right? This more secretive, quiet, um, private energy. So, and it sits right here in the smack middle of Leo, right? So, Leo, as we know, is all very self expressive, kind of dramatic, very much in the center of things, right? It's the sun that rules Leo. So we have the sun as the center of our universe. We have Leo, and that Leo part of us is the center of our beingness, right? But right in the center comes this gate that is in quantum human design called retelling, but in the more traditional sense was called privacy. So this is like a gate that withdraws, right? So not Leo ish, right? It sort of kind of comes out of the blue. But this week then invites us into a powerful interplay between reflection and sensitivity, right? Before we go back in toward the action. And the sun in the gate 33 here tells us to illuminate the sacred art of remembering and sharing stories. It is called the gate of retelling. And especially those stories that hold wisdom from past experiences, and not the retelling of it in its tragedy and drama so much as in this is what happened, this is what we've learned, and this is how we've been, put on a new path, right? This is how we're moving forward. It is a time for pausing and for processing and then preparing to speak when the timing is right. It is on the throat center. Not every story needs to be told. Not every story needs to be told immediately, because we don't know what that story is in the context of the bigger picture, perhaps. Some stories require time to sort of gestate, right? To find its footing, right? Meanwhile, the Earth is down here at the gate 19, and the gate 19 is called the gate of attunement in quantum human design, the gate of sensitivity in traditional human design, and it grounds us through heightened sensitivity to others and to our environment, and even to the what we generally think of as the morphogenetic fields, like the invisible threads of connection that, connect us all as people, but also connect us to nature, connect us to the earth, connect us to the cosmos, right? So the gate 19 is very much attuned to those sensitive energies. And it's a very empathic energy, and it's also tribal. This is in the tribal circuitry of human design. And it shows us that there's this part of every human that longs to belong, that longs to be loved, to love, to have the opportunity to love, and to be a part of the tribe or the family or the community, right? It is the need for that kind of connection and nurturing from other humans, right? That's what gate 19 is. And it's one that can feel very emotionally intense and even overwhelming at times, especially if it's not rooted in clear boundaries. This is the gate sometimes of the person that goes way outside of the boundaries to take care of others or to um, uh, kind of feel to do things that make them feel like they are accepted or loved, right? Which can sometimes not turn out the way that they hoped, right? People might, be very much taking them for granted. And sometimes this gate is also involved with codependency. Like in the shadow, when we get to the gene keys part of this, the shadow of this gate is codependency. So together, the gate 33 up here in the throat center and the gate 19 down here in the root center encourages us to slow down and, kind of feel what it is that we're feeling, to feel maybe into what others are feeling, to sense what others are feeling. And then this would be a time for us to let our inner voice guide us into determining which of the stories we're ready to share and which needs more time to be fully understood, right? Out of context, it means one thing. In context, it could mean something completely different, right? And pay attention to your physical and emotional cues this week. They'll reveal how attuned you are to your own needs and the needs of those around you. Are you really feeling in your body? Are you really grounded? Are you blurring the lines of boundaries between yourself, and other people? Now, there is a deeper message for all of us in this week, which, by the way, this is the week of. Let's see. I had the dates here. Oh, August or July 31st to August 4th. Okay, so the first week, basically, of the month of August. Now, the sun in the gate 33, the retelling, brings this reflection and storytelling and integrating the past. It has a bit of a historian sort of energy to it as well. It's about to carry forward and knows what it is that needs to be released into the dynamic of the collective. This is Leo's introspective moment, not a bold expression, but the pause before the performance, before the doing, before the sharing. There's before the sharing of the story. Think sacred retreat before revelation, right? So coming back inward. Then the earth in the gate 19 grounds us in the sensitivity, the attunement to others, the emotional needs of others, of ourselves, and the energy of codependence versus divine support. It's part of this channel called synthesis, and it meets up on this other side right here with the emotional center, gate 49, the gate of revolution. So it is all about reminding us that true sensitivity is like sacred preparation. It's not about victimhood. It's not about the story of who's hurt your feelings, of who disconnected from you, but more about, being sensitive to your own needs and now what is it that you need as opposed what is it what are the next steps that you want to take and not succumbing to the lower level energy of the victim. So this, is a Leo Aquarius axis, right? Leo Sun, gate 33, and Aquarius, gate 19. So retell your story, right? This axis is all about inviting us to um, have this evolutionary moment. So this month, is an invitation, starts with the invitation to evolve. And when I say evolve, I mean to raise your consciousness, right? Your consciousness of who you are amongst the others around you, and who it is that you long to be. Who is it that you really want to be? So retell your story, but from a higher frequency of connection and sensitivity. And then instead of this me versus we, Leo being the me and Aquarius energy being the we energy, we ask, what story do I need to retire in order to kind of attune more deeply to the new field of energy that we want to be a part of, right? What's the new energy that's emerging in the paradigm, and how do I become a part of that? And here's some new insight for you to explore about Leo energy. This is not a pause, as it were, in Leo's energy of the self, of being, self expressive, of really being, me centered. It's really a soulful reorientation of how the self is held in community, right? Aquarius being the opposite end is the community. So it's Leo sort of humbling itself before the mystery, and Aquarius learning how to listen from the heart. They learn from one another, right? They're not just one or the other. It forms this axis of energy, just as the human design gate 33 and 19 is a part of the Leo and Aquarius axis, also is learning how to listen with the heart, to tune in to something deeper. So, you might ask yourself, what emotional expectations or fantasies even are you clinging to that you can release, that you can let go of and move on from, right? Something that's old that, is an old story. What parts of your story are no longer true? And are you willing to sit down, reflect, and then willing to be able to retell from a more higher perspective or a more empowered voice, let's say? And where are you over attuned to others' needs? And where have you under attuned to your own? Right? Sometimes we're so busy trying to help others that we forget to factor ourselves in here. And then, what kind of leader are you wanting to become in your relationships, right? So, this weekend's energies, or indeed this first week of August up through the 4th, are kind of subtle but life changing if you take advantage of it. It's time to soften your defenses in a way and root into the root 19, gate 19 on the root, into emotional maturity, and allow the stories that no longer serve you to fall away and attune to your inner truth. And then choose to love in a way that really reflects your soul, not your scars, right? Not your scars. We all have scars. Definitely got the scars, right? We've had ups and downs in relationships. We've been hurt. We've hurt others. And it's time for us to let those scars, heal, and to then take up the next level of love, right? Now, good morning, Tom. I see you. Good morning, Narges. I see you. And it's good to have you guys with us. And also, I don't see Tamara here, but TD Hawk, who's often with us in the morning today, is her birthday. So happy birthday to you, Tamara. Um, let's dive into the gene keys of all of this, because the gene keys give us the deeper sense of, the genetics involved. Gene keys, right? Gene, genetics, the DNA, the very fabric of what makes you human is your DNA. And in the gate 33, the gate of retelling, this is sacred silence and the call to being, right? This is kind of the title of the gene key itself. And the shadow is forgetting. We've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten our divine nature. In the gift, it becomes mindfulness, right? We bring the mind into this. And in the siddhi, the highest expression, it's revelation, right? It's also associated with the I Ching hexagram of retreat. So the gate 33 is where we get this idea. The gene key 33, the hexagram 33, is really about how we retreat, we go inward, enter the sacred silence, and then listen for the call into belonging again, right? Belonging in our right place. So this gene key, of course, is on the throat center, as we spoke about in the gate, but it's not here to speak immediately. It really is here to listen. This is sometimes also called the gate of listening, retreat, and then reflect. It holds this wisdom of the right timing of memory and the sacred pause before sharing, right? The sacred pause to consider, to reflect, and then share. And at the shadow level, this energy forgets not just the details, but the soul's lessons about this energy. It rushes forward, bypassing the stillness that is needed to integrate the past, to integrate within everything that has happened, and you're drawing connections and how is it that all of this fits. And when we act or speak without processing, we repeat patterns rather than rewrite them. So the retelling becomes ad nauseum, retelling the same story instead of the invitation in retelling, which is about looking at the story and retelling it from a different perspective, right? That we're looking for the new perspective, not the old story. At the gift level, the 33 becomes deeply mindful, and it teaches us that there's no wisdom without silence, that the silence is golden, right? So through reflection and inner space, we remember what truly matters. And we don't tell the story just to be heard, we tell it to heal, help heal others, to heal ourselves. And at the siddhic level, the siddhi, the highest is where revelation occurs and divine truth emerges out of the stillness. And you become a vessel for timeless memory where the voice of your soul aligns with the cosmic rhythm that is, the one that we're all tuning into, attuning to with the gate 19, the opposite gate. So sometimes your greatest power lies in your willingness not to speak until your story carries the frequency of love. And, there's another key, right? That when we're talking to others, when we're sharing, is it from the space of love? Now, there are a lot of unloving things happening around us every day, all day, some days, right? We just hear stories about, the horrendous way some people are being treated, of, the way the world is behaving at this moment, or appears to be behaving at this moment. And that story that we tell can be infused with love at every level, even if the story is not a positive story. If we can take the time to consider how it plays out in the bigger picture of things, then we can bring a frequency of love to it, if not in necessarily in the words that we are sharing, but in the feeling or the frequency in which we share it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me know if I've just confused all of you. Now, I want to look at the gate 19 in the gene keys, because this is the shadow of codependency. And in the gift, it's sensitivity. In the highest expression, it is sacrifice. Right? Now, I got to unpack that one, because, it's not sacrifice in the sense of the victim or the martyr or the savior. Okay. So let's take a look at that. Gate 19 is exquisitely sensitive. If you have the gate 19 defined, you are one of those people that feels deeply. You might feel the insult or the slight in someone's words, even if that's not what they meant, right? You're reading the tone, the frequency behind the words. And we all have a gate 19. You're not missing gate 19, but if you're broadcasting it, then that sensitivity is very much there for you. And you're tuned into the needs and the emotions and the energies of others and the natural world as well, right? This can be the horse whisperer, the dog whisperer, right? The animal communicators often have the gate 19 defined because they're sensitive to that energy. It's not just the voice or the words that people are sharing, it's the energy frequency. And it's the primal urge for connection. This is often thought of as the gate of belonging. And it seems interesting to me that all humans have this gate in their template, and we all, and animals do as well. And it's like we all want to belong to a tribe, a community, a family. So when a child is born and doesn't get the nurturing from that family, it undermines their very uh, ability to live a healthy life, right? And we see that plays out in sociopathy and psychopathy, right? Where these people didn't get the love and the nurturing. Sometimes it's something in their brain, but often we can go to the gate 19 and see where the disconnect was in how they were brought into the tribe or not, right? How were they pushed out to the margins or not? So it is this primal urge for connection rooted in our animal bodies, but pointed toward divine belonging. Try that one on for size, right? Now, at the shadow level, this sensitivity gets distorted into codependence, a fear of abandonment that really drives us to overmerge our energy with others or to overgive or to manipulate connection for a false sense of safety, right? It's often why you see people in abusive relationships not leaving the relationship because it's what they know, it's what they feel as, where they belong. And until they can choose, the value to value themselves in a higher way, they can't leave that. It's almost like that fear of being of abandoning that and not having something else to go to. It's a false sense of safety to stay in that relationship, right? So we have to really work with that shadow energy of codependence in our lives wherever it's showing up. At the gift level, though, this becomes strength, right? The sensitivity, true sensitivity, is discerning, it's receptive and respectful. It's not about taking on everyone's pain. That's not even what true empathy is about. It's about feeling what's yours to feel and then honoring the energetic boundaries of self and others, allowing others the to feel what they are meant to feel, even if they're feeling pain, right? That is theirs to feel. I mean, we can be compassionate and we could be, loving towards them, but we can't take on their pain. So, in the gift level, true sensitivity is just about being discerning and receptive, understanding, that we are all dealing with certain things, but not for us to take them on because then we enter into the shadow of codependency. In the highest level, the gift, the city, excuse me, it is sacrifice. But this is not martyrdom, but a sacred offering of the self to the whole, right? It's about devotion, it's about unity and surrendering the ego's need for control in service to divine love. So we see in the undercarriage here, in the DNA, at the very fabric of who you are, um, it's all about connection. So the key insight of the gate 19, of the gene key 19, is to be attuned, not to absorb, right? It's to stand present with life, with love, and with subtle whispers of truth, but not to take over that energy. Again, we come back to boundaries in a way. So when we blend the two of these, the 33 and the 19, we get a dialogue across time, right? These two gates form a bridge between the voice of the past, the 33, and the heartbeat of the present in the gate 19. One retreats to remember, the 33, and the other leans in to feel, right? So they work together. And together they ask us if we can hold stillness long enough to receive truth, the truth. And can we feel what our bodies and our spirits are trying to tell us without rushing to fix it or speak it or escape it? And then can you retell your story, not from pain, but from presence, from awareness, from the now moment? And this is the Leo Aquarius axis reimagined. And it's self love that's born of reflection, right? Being willing to see within and reflect first, and then letting the self be seen or be reborn almost even. And there's collective healing here, perhaps born of attunement, attuning to yourself, to your higher self. Okay, questions. Londa, good morning. Happy to see you. She says, "You're shining bright. You're reflecting true illuminated light." Oh, I love that. Thank you. And OMG, I think sometimes people don't realize how they project their tones. I have to remind myself to not take it personally. And Londa, I just realized I missed your birthday. Happy belated birthday to you, my friend. And I hope you had a wonderful day. We should get together soon and talk about maybe what's ahead for you. Tom says happy birthday to TD Hawk. And also Kamal has a birthday, I think he said tomorrow, and all of that. So uh, I love how we all can interact this way. Did I miss anybody else's comments? How about questions about your own human design? If you look at your own human design chart, I'll bring the chart back up again just so we can see it. Should watch the time. Let me share the screen once more with all of you. So look at your own human design chart and look at this, if you're facing the chart, the bottom right corner of the throat center, and is it colored in? It could look like this where it's hanging, right? If it's hanging, then you have some kind of planet there. And whatever that planet is waiting to sort of download its story to someone who has the other side, the gate 13. And that can happen when a transiting planet hits the gate 13. That can happen when you have someone in front of you who has the gate 13, right? It's how this energy connects and zips together. Now, some of you might have the gate 13 already connected. So you would have the gate 33 and the 13 already defined. And that means you have two planets engaged in this energy of retelling of the story, or of listening deeper and listening in silence, right? Retreating a little before you speak. And now you have the sun's added energy to that whole stream of energy. Now, some of you, like me, are going to have nothing sitting here at the gate 33. It's going to look just white. But if we were looking at a transit chart, we would see that that gate 33 had some energy hanging on it now with the sun there. And the sun here bringing this energy of retreat, stepping back for you when maybe you don't normally do that, right? There's something really kind of funny that happens with the 33 and the 13, though, that I'll just share because it's so interesting. The 33 is often the storyteller, and the 13, the one that it connects to here, is the story keeper. So together, this channel is often about the stories we keep and tell, right? So sometimes the people with the gate 33 or the gate 13 get downloaded stories from people. So you might even find yourself in this particular week with people that suddenly want to share, their life stories with you or tell their deep dark secrets to you. Because in some way we're kind of sensing, this history, this story, that this commonality that we share, right, with in our stories. And the funny thing about it, when it connects up, sometimes those stories spill out. So the secrets come out. And it's totally funny because in my family, my oldest son, Wesley, has this gate 33, and then the 13 um, as well. So, we tell, sometimes he's very good at keeping secrets, and other times, without even thinking, the whole thing just kind of comes tumbling out of his mouth, and we have to just start laughing because he doesn't even realize what he's done, that he's spilled the tea, so to speak. So watch for that during this particular week. And then same thing with the gate 19. So some of you may have it sort of like this, where it's hanging, and others of you may have it all the way across, which would define your emotional center and the root center. And this is a channel that is very sensitive to revolution, to the change that's required. So if you're someone who has that whole channel defined, now the sun is highlighting, or excuse me, the earth is highlighting the 19, making this needing to be revolution to be grounded before you can actually change or evolve, either for yourself or for the collective. So you'd have to be very grounded in that sensitivity, and make sure that you're not acting or reacting from a space of martyrdom, right? Or a space of hurt and oversensitivity, making sure you're in your lane and not kind of weaving into somebody else's lane as well. And then others of you who do not have the gate 19 defined, now suddenly it is defined, right? So if yours is white and looks like this, also like mine, then suddenly there's this sensitivity and you feel the feels, right? And that can be very disconcerting at times if you're not someone who normally taps into what the collective is feeling. You may feel this drop in your energy, like a feeling of depression or sadness that can overcome you if you are tuning in to the energy of something big that's happened in the world, or it could also be tuning into a feeling of joy if that's also going on in the tribe, that community that you're a part of. So becoming more sensitive during this particular week. So, all right, but that, you know, you have to know your own human design to be able to interpret some of this. So hopefully you guys have looked at that. My eyelashes are to die for. Oh my goodness, that's too funny because guess what I did this morning? I've had this tube of white something or another for my eyelashes. And I just happened to be in the house with my daughter yesterday when she was getting ready to go somewhere and she's putting this white stuff on her lashes. And I'm like, what in the bleep are you doing? And she said, it's like a base that you put on, and then the mascara really sticks and, looks good. And I went, oh, is that what that tube is for? Oh, Lord. So this morning, I put the white stuff on first and then put my mascara on. So it's more mascara sticking to my lashes, probably not really I mean, it's just highlighting that I actually have them because if I don't put mascara on, they're so light, you just don't even know, right? Okay, let's go back to human design. Julie says hers is open. And should I get a decorator for my human design? Tom says. Oh my gosh, Tom, I love you. Asa, Moon at 33 and Saturn at 13. So you have that entire channel defined as well. So story keeper and storyteller. So when I look at the people with that have the when I look at charts where they have the 3313, that is often a signature of an author or a writer, a um, someone who is here to share a story, right? The greatest stories ever told kind of thing, right? So I see that in you, Asa, now that you bring that up. Um, but the part of you that has to be grounded first in this case, because it's Saturn, is the listener, right? Are you listening to what's going on within before you attempt to tell the story? So that's a really interesting combination for you. And JLo says she was checking her girls' chart as two have the birthdays right now, and my granddaughter has the whole channel. So you have a bunch of storytellers and listeners in your tribe, JLo. And I think you said you had. Did you have those open? Because if you do, then what are you learning from the stories that they're telling? But also, what can you share with them or teach them about when it's appropriate to share the stories or to tell the stories, and what stories are they telling? Right. Christine, undefined throat and identity center, the gate 33 hanging, I'm guessing, Pluto, Virgo, and 33 Pluto. So both sides, you have 33 Pluto, hanging gate, black and red. That's, yeah, black and red because Pluto is there on both sides. So you're part of this generation of storytellers and story keepers, deep listeners, listening for the tone and the frequency of the story and then helping to elevate that story, helping to, because you're so sensitive in this, maybe especially now with Earth sitting at the 19, to elevate the story first, looking at the story you're telling, and then how are you sharing the stories of what's happening in the world around you. And Asa, oh no, sorry, JLo first. The 19 will complete the channel for me. Yep, you're going to meditate with more intention. But you're also going to be more sensitive. Remember this, the 19 attunes us all, not only to the energies between people, the energies between us and animals, because it really is tapping into the animal part of being human, but it is also tuning you into the unseen realm, right? So don't be surprised if in your dream world or even in your day-to-day life you're seeing ghosts or spirits or you're more spiritually activated. Don't be surprised about that, right? It's very interesting how this can play out. And completing the channel is, a call to revolutionize in some way as well. Asa, I have Uranus at gate 40, gate 40, the gate of restoration. So, I get this for you because I've noted in your life, and I've known you for a number of years now, that periodically these very major health issues come up, right? And it takes you out for a while, disrupts your flow. Um, and if it's not your own health, it's somebody else's, like a family member, right? And the ironic thing about the gate 40 is that it sits on the will center. So it has it has the energy of flow with it, right? It has the energy though of pulse that pulses on and pulses off. So the people that have the gate 40 need to remember it's called the gate of restoration because you need to not work or push yourself through the pulse to take a break. Because when you do and you do that consistently, you end up burning out. You end up getting sick. You end up with autoimmune diseases. You end up with ulcers. You end up with, something that is going to make you have to take the break. So, in your case, take the breaks consciously, right? Don't keep pushing, 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 pushing. Monitor your own energy. And you are a manifester, Asa, so you don't have access to the sacral that is defined. So, I have that gate 42 as well, not 42, but 40 as well. But I'm a generator, so I have the defined sacral. Right? So it's a different story. I can burn out too, but not like you can. So anybody out there with the gate 40 defined, be watchful for that, right? Don't be pushing. This is a center that is production oriented and can keep pushing. If you watch animals play, they play, 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 then they drop, right? They'll eat or they'll take a drink of water and they'll take a nap and then they're back at it. People don't do that. Right, because we're working an 8 or 10-hour day. We're pushing, right? We get a lunch break, and we're sometimes eating lunch at our desks, or I do this all the time, and I know better. I need to take breaks because the energy of that center pulses on and off. And everybody has that center, but 7/8 of you have it not defined. So you don't have access to this energy. So you'll try to keep pushing and pushing that river and try to prove yourself by going and going and going until something breaks in the body, usually, or in the mind, right? And you're forced to take the break. Okay, it was toothpaste. No, not toothpaste. My eyes would burn so bad. You're getting goop on your body and you don't know what it is. Now I know what it is. I had it in my makeup kit because I got it in the mail sometime somewhere. Now I know what it is. So now I can use it with confidence. What's the eyelash? What the white stuff is called? Base, I think. Eyelash base, or I will have to send that to you, Christine, because it's evading my mind right now. All right, let's see. What time is it? We've got 10 minutes. Let's dive into the astrology part of the broadcast today, where literally the only major thing that's happening astrologically for this weekend is Venus in a square, Venus in Cancer, in a square to the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. So this is pretty profound, actually, when I was really thinking about it, because the square is a nurturing square. It's about, Saturn and Neptune and Aries are bold and action oriented, and they're, taking on this sovereignty and this independence and this I am presence that's very big, right? But then there's Venus in Cancer, and she says you've got to take care not only of yourself, but of others around you. There's nurturing energy, growth energy here. And so this weekend really marks the beginning of August with this very deeply emotional vulnerability that Venus in Cancer can portray, and also reality checks in our relationships. Venus in Cancer craves comfort. This is the sign of home, right? And of family and the feel goods and emotional bonding. Interesting, Venus in Cancer at the same time that the Earth is grounding us in emotional belonging in the gate 19. And her square to Saturn and Neptune and Aries exposes the tension that we might have between what feels secure and feels good, but also what calls for courage or change. How do we need to be elevating ourselves in the context of relationships? Now, Venus square Saturn herself, just that part of it, may bring up feelings of isolation or emotional distance, maybe even financial stress, whether real or imagined, right? Finances are a part of Venus. And in Cancer, Venus, money for Venus in Cancer is about being secure. It's about having, a pantry filled with groceries, a refrigerator filled with groceries, money in the bank for the unexpected so the bills can be paid. So if something feels withheld, which is what Venus and Saturn together in a square can do, it's asking you to redefine your values more clearly. What is it that you value in that uh, uh, security and stability, and what can you build on to cause that to feel more secure? Now, Venus squaring Neptune, right next door to Saturn, can cloud your emotional judgment, right? Neptune always seems to be the one that clouds. It can cause us to over idealize our relationships. So, watch for romantic illusions or avoidance of feelings, right? That's a part of this too. But the core theme for all of the Venus and Cancer squaring these two is about tenderheartedness meeting tough love and dissolving boundaries. um, Emotional realism is required. And you can kind of see the conundrum in this, right? You can see that for people who already have a tendency to blur the boundaries between themselves and others, a Venus coming into a square with Saturn and Neptune like this can really bring that challenge right up in their faces, where they see themselves in this over giving, over nurturing, and maybe even get frustrated with it or angry and at themselves, maybe angry at others because they're giving too much, and that can cause the martyr flags to go up, which is exactly the opposite of what we need to be doing, right? We need to be willing to look at those boundaries and where are we erasing them versus where are we needing to enact them. So yeah, what we need to emphasize then is that Venus in Cancer is not just the lover or the nurturer. She's the guardian of the hearth. She's the guardian of the home. And when she squares Saturn and Neptune, like she is this weekend, we're being asked, what emotional structures are you protecting? Are they real? Are they fake? Are they fantasy? And Saturn, Neptune, and Aries is initiating this long term spiritual contract of embodying our truth, embodying the truth, embodying our truth. And Venus entering the square invites us to emotionally test that contract that we have. Are we emotionally prepared to, be the embodiment of our true selves? And in Cancer, where Venus represents love as care, Aries says, care enough to lead, right? Care enough to put your best foot forward. The square is kind of a pressure test. It always is, right? At a square aspect to any planet. And it asks if your values are aligned with the future you're building, right? Are you just building some future that you think is important, but it really doesn't hold value for you? Because if so, it's tempted to fall, to not be able to be built. And Venus in Cancer, who longs for safety, Saturn, who demands accountability, and Neptune, who blurs the lines, tells us that we must find the heart's truth within the fog, right? It may not be clear to us, which is so good that the sun is in the gate 33. We're giving us this opportunity to reflect, to retreat, right? To pull back. So there could be disillusionment this weekend. You might feel kind of, grief over some part of you that you're losing, or that you feel the change as a loss, which can bring up a feeling of grief. But we need to surrender our old expectations, right? They're no longer working for us, so we can't hold on to them. And this is where we break the spell of sentimentality and open the heart to spiritual integrity, right? Venus is asking, do you love in a way that honors both yourself and the path that you're meant to walk, the path that you're meant to walk now? Because that's probably a different path, or at least a different part of the path than the one you've been walking. So, emotional reality checks expected this weekend, right? How are you navigating the gap between the longing that you feel for connection, or for more better health or better relationships, and the reality of your relationships, or your financial situation, or your health? So let sensitivity guide you, definitely, but don't lose yourself in someone else's story. Don't don't do it. Don't allow that to be your experience. All right. Uh, Questions. Okay, Sephora. Yeah, we're talking about that makeup stuff. um, I I don't even know. I get it from Il Maquillage, which is something that I get. It gets shipped to me every month on a refill type thing. Um, Oh, shoot. I have a fixed star in gate 40, and I go through the same thing. Oddly, it's Thuban connected to Draconis. When you did my soul chart, I had a connection to Draco. Oh, you're talking my language. That's this. There's something about galactic astrology that just so pulls me. And it must be my Sagittarius Earth, right? That just wants to go way out into the ethers. And, there's a story. There's this whole story around Draco. As, if you've been listening to any kind of galactic stories, you know that Draco is the constellation, or the star system, where the reptilian contingent moved out of their constellation, or out of their world, and into Lyra and the Pleiades, and did a lot of damage, trying to overtake, right? They were very service to self, concentrated energy, versus service to the whole, which is what more of the Lyran and Pleiadian mind was like. And even Orion and some of the other star systems, had this more concept of, at least, a balanced concept in Arcturian energies and so forth, that were balanced between service to self and service to the whole. So Thuban being the main star, or the main, point in that system. But for you, JLo, it wasn't just that system that you were coming from. You're resonating with the older version of that star system, which was very oriented to service to the whole, right? It was a very beautiful um, society, culture, in that star system, before the point at which they began to resonate further onto the other side of service to the self. I hope that makes sense, right? Jana, good morning to you, and happy August as well to you. So, yeah, that connection. So interesting, right? All right, let's see if we can pull a card that represents August for us. Let's see, what am I pulling out here? It's like a crapshoot, like I reach beneath and I don't know what I'm reaching. Apparently a Mayan oracle card. And let's see what the Mayans can say. This is a kit, right? The Mayan oracle, a galactic language of light. And in it are the cards, but also this lovely book that comes with it, explaining all of the different cards and the background of them as well. So let's see what August is meant. Oh, unity. So just one dot. The dots in the Mayan number system were 1 through 4. And so 2 dots would be 2, 3 dots, 3, etc. So 1 represents unity, unidad. And God, I opened up right to it. So open your heart in unconditional love as a chalice for indivisible essence. Let the sacrament of unity be served in you. The qualities are unconditional love, the one heart, indivisible essence, core vibration, new beginnings, the chalice of the infinite, and all that is. And if I remember correctly, we have both Saturn and Neptune, I think, at the gate 25 still. Ooh, got to move to August. Saturn and Neptune both in the conjunction at the gate 25 in the line 4. The line 4 is all about relationships, so connection. So we're bringing those together. So 1 is the ray of unity with self and source. Call forth the resonance of your true vibration. Feel the pulse of this ecstatic frequency of the One. You are being offered profound awakenings and exquisite radiance of unconditional love. This is the time of new beginnings in your life. Be active in your individual expression, committed to the growth of your essence self. You contain the paradox of the separate self and unity within one. You are simultaneously the primal point of beginning and the crowning culmination. You are the initiator. You are the one who opens the way. You may feel alone or separated from source. If so, stand in the unity of your essence self and focus on the reality of the one heart. You are the wisdom you seek. This is the card again, by the way. If you drew this card, be willing to look at how separation from source might be a major life lesson for you. Look at the language that you use that puts the divine outside of yourself. See how you are creating unnecessary self limitation through such language and beliefs. Move the lensing of your reality out to take the take the broadest overview of which you are capable. Envision through the eyes of unity consciousness how your individual part fits into the whole new hologram of reality emerging. In the most expanded expression of unity consciousness, by simply being empty and clear lens for the divine, you can release the struggle created by the ego's desire to do. Because at this level of consciousness, you simply become the focusing device through which the coherency of the divine light flows. In this simple way, you are the divine unity and the plan unfolding. You're being asked to look at how the belief in competition, however subtle, keeps you stuck in non unified awareness. As you begin to see that there is only one of us here, competition and lack of cooperation are simply non survival oriented beliefs. As a species imperative, we would be served in unifying all apparent polarized positions, such as competition and its attenuating belief in scarcity, or we will simply perish as a species. The more you love, the faster you vibrate. Changing your friends, beliefs, or the contents of your mind does not change your vibration. The ways you don't love yourself as you are now are the very ways that you keep love out of your vibration down. There is nothing outside you that dictates your experience. Your life experience is entirely determined by your vibration and awareness. If you want to vibrate in the frequency of unity consciousness, choose love. So simple. There we go. That's our card. That kind of speaks to the month of August, but also for the weekend. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning. And I hope to see you on Monday. I will again be here at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. East Coast time. Bye for now.